Hello guys, I'm Rashpreet. In this video, we are going to discuss one of the biggest chapter of CA Intermediate Strategic Management, that is dynamics of competitive strategy. In length also it's huge, as well as in form of weightage in the examination also it's huge only, because it comes for nearly 10 marks in your whole paper. So it's one of the important chapter. So let's see what are the topics covered under this. Competitive strategy, competitive landscape, strategic analysis, industry and competitive analysis, core competency, competitive advantage, internal and external analysis, SWOT analysis, TOS analysis, and globalization. All this we have to study, and notes of this is available in the description box. So if you want, you can go and download it there. Also, it is available in the Telegram channel of CA Notes. So if you want, you can download it there. And full lecture of this particular chapter is available in channel Accounting Secrets. So please go and watch it, and please don't forget to subscribe the channel, and also please don't forget to subscribe CA Dreams. Okay, let's begin with the chapter. First topic is all about competitive strategy. Competitive strategy is nothing but a game plan which company comes up with to achieve its objective, to attract its customer, as well as to compete with its competitors. So competitive strategy can be defined as firm's long-term action plan. It is long-term action plan that formulated by considering several external factors as well as internal factors. While forming a strategy, you have to consider both external environment as well as internal environment, external factors as well as internal factors, that helps the company to achieve competitive advantage. Competitive strategy helps to achieve what? Competitive advantage, increase the share in the market, that is to attract more and more customers and overpower its rivals. So a competitive strategy consists of moves to what are the objectives of competitive strategy, or what are the goals included behind competitive strategy. Those are, first one is to attract customer and deliver value to them. Next is withstand competitive pressure, that is to face the rivals and to get succeeded in that. And third one is strengthening market position, that is to increase your market share as well as to become a market leader. Okay, objectives of competitive strategy is to generate competitive advantage, increase market share, and beat competition. Next comes competitive landscape. Competitive landscape is nothing but it is analyzing our rivals, our competitors. See, competitive landscape is a business analysis. This is landscape means it is an analysis which identifies your competitors either directly or indirectly. You can identify them directly or indirectly. How indirectly? Through newspaper, other medias, whereas directly you collect their data directly from them or directly from other means. Okay, competitive landscape is about identifying and understanding the competitors. It is all about identifying your competitors and understanding your competitors, as well as understanding their vision, mission, etc. And at the same time, it permits the comprehension of their vision, mission, core values, niche market is targeted market, and strengths and weakness of that particular competitor. Okay, what are the steps involved in competitive landscape? That is steps to understand the competitive landscape. First step is to identify the competitor. So you have to identify who exactly your competitor is. If you are in a business of automobile, you can't look at the firm which are operating in electronic sector. So a competitor, you should identify who are your competitors. Later, you have to understand the competitors. That is, you have to understand their vision, mission, and what are the different strategy they are using, and what are their goals and all, their weakness, strength and all. Third is determine the strength of a competitor. You have to determine what exactly their strength is, why they are making that much profit, or they acquired so much market. You have to determine the strength. What strength is there on the, it's there on their side. Okay. Next one is to determine the weakness of the competitor. You have to determine their weakness. What are the weaknesses? Because if they have some weaknesses, you can utilize it as your strength. You can encash that weakness. And finally, you have to put all the information together and you should conclude how strong your competitor is. Third one is all about strategic analysis. Strategic analysis is simple. It is nothing but analyzing, examining or researching internal environment as well as external environment of an organization to come up with a strategy. That is to formulate a strategy. See, strategic analysis refers to the process of researching an organization. That is, it is a process of researching an organization and its working environment to formulate a strategy. The two most important situations considered are, what are the two different situations considered in simple internal environment as well as external environment? See, industry and competitive condition, that is external. An organization own competitive capabilities, resource, internal strength, weakness and market position, this is internal environment. Okay, what are the issues to be considered for strategic analysis? So while doing a strategic analysis, while forming a strategy, what are the things you should consider? First one is strategy evolves over a period of time. See, your strategy, what you formulate, it is not a result of one day or 2 day. One day or 2 day thinking. It will be the result of many days activity. That is, you will do something day to day, and after a long time, after practicing the same thing, it will become your strategy. So strategy evolves over a period of time. This should be considered while analyzing a strategy, that is analyzing internal and external environment. Balancing of external and internal factors, that is, you should match external opportunities and threats with internal strength and weaknesses. So you should maintain a balance between internal and external factors. See, here they gave external analysis. What are the external analysis included? First one is customer analysis. You should analyze who your customer are, and competitor analysis and environmental analysis in the form of technical, economical, cultural, government, in that form. Okay, internal analysis is performance analysis, that is your efficiency, and determinants analysis, that is what are the different current situation, current strategies, all this. Financial resources analysis, all this will come under determinants analysis. Later, strategy identification and selection. After analyzing all this, you have to come up with a strategy. You have to analyze what are the different strategies are available to meet our objectives. Later, you should select one from them and implement the operating plan, that is implement in an organization, and review strategy and control that particular strategy. Okay, now comes method of industry and competitive analysis. So what are the different analysis method used to analyze industry in which firm operates as well as its rivals? See, industry and competitive analysis can be done using a set of concepts and techniques to get a clear picture on key industry threats, the intensity of the competition, the drivers of industry change, the market position and strategies of rival company, competitive success and profit prospect. So here we analyze all these aspects, and there are many tools to analyze those things. It provides way of thinking strategically about any industry's overall situation and drawing conclusion about whether the industry represents an attractive investment for organization funds. So after analyzing all these things, you will come into one conclusion that whether the industry is profitable one or not, whether the industry is attractive or not. Okay, what are the different steps involved in analyzing? First step is to analyze dominant economic features of an industry. See, every industry differs because every industry is not same. Your technical industry, automobile industry, mobile industry, all these are not same. Those are different. So you have to analyze the industry in which you want to operate. What is the key dominant position? What is the key dominant feature, economic feature? What is the feature of that particular industry? That you have to understand. That is, See, industry is nothing but it is a group of firms whose product have same and similar attributes such that they compete for the same buyers. So industry is nothing but it is a group of firms who offers a same kind of product or similar kind of product to the same customer. So industry is a group of firms who offer same or similar kind of products to the same customers. Industry differs significantly in their basic character and structure. The factors to be considered in profiling an industry economic features are fairly standard and are as given below. So what are the things you have to check while analyzing economic features of that particular industry? The first one is size and nature of a market. You have to analyze how much is the size of that particular industry's market or what is the nature of that particular industry. Scope of competitive rivalry. So you have to analyze what is the scope, what is the strength, what is the coverage of our rivals. Either it might be national, international, regional, local, like that. Market growth rate and position in the business life. So you have to analyze how much is the growth rate in that particular market, and you have to analyze how many people are there as a rivals. The number of buyers and their relative size you have to analyze. The type of distribution channel used to access a customer, whether they are using the separate distribution channel or whether they have some general distribution channel, all this you have to check. Capital requirement and the ease of entry and exit. So you have to analyze how much capital is required and how easy to enter as well as how easy to exit. Because when the market is unattractive, you have to exit. At that time, if it is not easy to exit, then that will be a problem and it will cause a loss to an organization. Whether industry profitable is above, below or par. You have to understand whether it's normal or more than normal, that is more profitable or less profitable. Next, you have to analyze nature and strength of the competition. After analyzing the industry, now you have to concentrate about your rivals, their strength, their competition level. This analytical step is essential because managers cannot devise a successful strategy without in-depth understanding of the industry's competitive character. Porter's 5 forces model is useful in understanding the competition. This is there in chapter number 5, business level strategies. It is a powerful tool for systematically diagnosing the main competitive pressure in the market and assessing how strong and important each one is. So here what you will do, you will analyze who are your different competitors, and you analyze their strength, and you will check why they are your strong competitors, and you will check their strengths and weaknesses. Okay. Third one is triggers of changes, that is causes of changes. First you have to analyze feature, next about competitor and competition. Third one is all about changes in that particular environment. Driving forces. What do you mean by driving forces? Industry and competitive condition change because forces are motion that create incentives or pressure for change. So it is dynamic. Industry and competitive condition are dynamic. It will keep on changing. Why? Because there are some forces who act as a changing factor. Those forces asks you to change. See, out of all those forces, the most dominant force which will make changes in that particular industry or a competition will be known as a driving force. See, the most dominant force are called driving force because they have the biggest influence on what kind of changes will take place in the industry structure and competitive environment. So what are the forces? Forces are nothing but the things which ask changes in industry as well as competition. What are the driving forces? Those are the most dominant forces which will make sure that organization as well as industry and competition changes as per the requirements of those forces. Okay. Next step is to identify the strongest and weakest companies. That is through the process called strategic group mapping. In strategic group mapping, what you will do? You will group of companies based on their capacity, based on their offerings and based on their profitability. You will group the companies and you will analyze how strong a company and how weak that particular company is. If industry is so small and only few people are there as a competitor, then you can analyze one by one. But if the industry is so huge, so many people are there, then what you will do, you will, group the similar kind of firms which uses same kind of strategy, might be same kind of industrial technology, etc. Will group them and you will analyze based on group and you will give the rank for that particular groups. Okay. One technique for revealing the competitive position of industry participant is strategic group mapping, which is useful analytical tool for comparing the market position of each firm separately or for grouping them into like position when an industry has so many competitors that it is not practical to examine each one in depth, as I already said earlier. A strategic group consists of those rival firms which have similar competitive approach and position. So strategic group will be consist of the firms which have similar competitive approaches, that is similar strategies, as well as some kind of same ratio of market position in the market. Companies in the same strategic group can resemble one another in any of the several ways. Okay. The procedure for constructing a strategic group map and deciding which firm belongs in which strategic group. What are the procedures involved in strategic group mapping? First, identify the competitive characteristics that differentiate firm in the industry. You have to analyze their different strategies, their different, competitive characteristics. Later, plot the firm on a two variable map using a pairs of these differentiated characteristics. Later, you have to plot those firm in a variable, two-side variable chart and assign the firm that fall in about the same strategy space to the same strategy group. So, I will do like this, here one from here, one from here, one from here, one from here, one from like this. So what you will do now, you will group similar kind of firm like this. Draw a circle around each strategic group mapping. The circle proportional to the size of the group's respective share to the total industry sales revenue. So you should draw the circle and the circle should represent whole share, market share. If market share is big from those group of firms, then the circle should be big. Market growth is small, market size is small, small circle like that. And they're based on their revenue. Okay. Next step is likely strategic moves of rival, which is very important because you can't go and go to war blindly. You have to think what they might do. You have seen in cricket matches, or while you are playing, your mind will throw you certain questions while batting. What he might bowl, what kind of ball he might bowl, whether it's full length, what length he might bowl, Yorker, like that. So you should analyze your rivals, what they are going to do, what they might do. Unless a business organization pays attention to what competitors are doing, it ends up flying blind into competitive business. Next one is to analyze key factors for competitive success. You have to analyze what are the key successful factors are there in that particular industry. Key successful factors are nothing but those are the factors which are very essential for an organization to compete in a particular industry, or that is the factor which will shows customer satisfaction. That those are the factors what customers want. See, an industry's key success factor, KSFs, are those things that most affect industry members' ability to prosper in the marketplace. The particular strategy element, product attribute, resources, competencies, competitive capabilities, and business outcome that spells the difference between the profit and loss, ultimately between competitive success or failure. So in simple, key successful factors are nothing but those are the factors which will make sure that company will be in the industry, and based on that you can analyze how strong the company is. Okay, the answers to the three question helps identifying an industry's key success factors. Okay, what are those? On what basis do customers choose between the competing brand of seller? What product attributes are crucial? So here, when we analyze why our competitor is doing so good in the market, and when you come to know what people really want, that will be your key success factor. What resources and competitive capabilities does the seller need to have to be a competitive successful? So you will think of resources. What are the basic resources, important resources a particular firm should have. What does it take for a seller to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage? So here we will analyze what does it takes for the seller to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. You should think what are the things required to maintain the sales level, maintain the revenue level with a competitive advantage. Okay, later next is to analyze is prospects and financial attractiveness of industry. We have to analyze the attractiveness of industry, profitability of the industry, growth rate of the industry. Company strategies are obligated to assess the industry outlook carefully, deciding whether the industry and competitive condition present an attractive business. Because without an attractive business, company ends up with loss or without profit, So they should analyze how much attractive the particular industry is for the organization or whether its growth and profit prospects are gloomy. Okay, the important factors on which to base such conclusion include. So what are the things you should consider while analyzing whether the industry is attractive or not? The first thing is the industry's growth potential. If the growth potential is great, then it is attractive. If it's not great, then it's not attractive. Whether the competition currently permits adequate profitability and whether the competitive forces will become stronger or weaker. So whether the proper profit is there or only simply they are competing because they exist in that particular industry, you have to analyze like that. Whether industry profitability will be favorable or an unfavorable affected by prevailing driving forces. So we have to analyze how much driving forces affect the profitability. If the driving forces changes very quickly, then it is not profitable. They have to keep on investing on technological changes and all. The competitive position of an organization in the industry and whether its position is likely to grow stronger or weaker. So you have to analyze what is the competitive position of the particular organization in the industry. The potential to capitalize the vulnerabilities of a weaker rivals. So whether you can capitalize, whether you can take advantage of your rival's weakness, you have to analyze. If yes, then industry will be attractive. The degree of risk and uncertainty in the industry's future. This is very important. Okay, our next topic is core competency. Okay, in simple, core competencies are the capabilities of an organization to achieve competitive advantage, or core competencies are the capabilities which will get a competitive advantage to an organization. Core competencies are capabilities that serve as a source of competitive advantage for a firm over its rival. C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hamel have advocated the concept of core competency, which is widely used concept in the management theories. So, who advocated? C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hamel. It might be your MCQ. Competency is defined as a combination of skills and techniques. It is a combination of skills and techniques, not a single skill or not a single technique. It is a combination of different skills and techniques, rather than individual skill or separate technique. According to C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hamel, major core competencies are identified in 3 areas. So according to them, core competency can be identified in 3 areas. One, in competitors, differentiation, customer value, and application to other market. So 3 areas. One is competitor differentiation, that is our rivals differentiation, customer value, and application to the other market. Okay, what exactly does competitor differentiation means? The company can consider having a core competency if the competency is unique and it is difficult for a competitor to imitate. So competency or capability can be said as core competency when an organization has some capability which is not there in any other organization. Organization has some capability which is not there in any other organization, as well as it is difficult to copy from that by that other rivals. Then it will be core competency. So competitor differentiation is done. Customer value. When purchasing a product or service, it has to deliver a fundamental benefit for the end customer in order to be a core competency. So your product can be said as core competency, or your company can be said as core competency only if that provides value to your customer as per his expectation. If your product meets his expectation, then you can say it as customer value. Application of competencies. Core competencies must be applicable to the whole organization. See, it should be applicable to the whole organization, not only to the single function or single business. It cannot be only one particular skill or specified area of expertise. It has 3 above mentioned conditions are met, then the company can regard it competencies are core competencies. So a competency or capability to become a core competency, it should satisfy 3 conditions. One, customer differentiation, that is, it should be difficult to imitate as well as it is not available in any other organization. Next is customer value. It should serve the basic needs of particular customer and it should be applicable to the whole organization. Then company can tell it as core competency. Okay, a core competency fulfills 3 criteria. It should provide potential access to a wide variety of markets. So your core competency should provide a potential access to a wide variety of markets. It should make a significant contribution to the perceived customer benefits of the end product. That is giving a full benefit to your customer. It should be difficult to imitate from the competitors or rivals. Okay, 4 specific criteria of sustainable competitive advantage that firm can use to determine capabilities that are core competency. First one is valuable. Valuable capabilities are the ones that allows the firm to exploit opportunities or avoid the threats in its external environment. So core competency can be said, capabilities can be said as core competencies when it is valuable, when it is rare, when it is costly to imitate, when it do not have any substitute. So valuable, what is valuable? Valuable is nothing but it allows a firm to exploit opportunities. Rare, it should be rare. It should not be there in any organization. Costly to imitate, because if it is not that costly to imitate or if it that easy to imitate, then within a 3-4 days our rivals will imitate it, and then it will be no more core competency. Non-substitutable. So if substitute is there, which means it has one more similar product, which means other product is there to satisfy those customers. So it's no more a unique product. It's no more a unique product means it's not a core competency. Okay, next comes value chain analysis. Value chain analysis is a strategy tool used to analyze the internal firm activities. So your firm activities might start from where? Procurement and end at after sales service. So analyzing all these activities will be called as value chain analysis. The thing which link between all these activities will be called as supply chain management. Okay, value chain analysis is a strategy tool used to analyze internal firm activities. Its goal is to recognize which activities are most valuable to the firm, that is most useful and most profitable to the organization, and which one could be improved to provide a competitive advantage. So value chain analysis is nothing but analyzing the internal environment of an organization. Fine. To what? To check which is the valuable activity in an organization, as well as to check what are underdeveloped activities or activities which need more concentration to achieve a competitive advantage. Porter argued that an understanding of strategic capability must start with an identification of these separate value activities. So Porter said, divide your whole activity into 2. One primary activity, other one is secondary activity. For primary activities, those are the basic things in your organization, and secondary activities should support your primary activities. Then you can think that your value chain analysis is complete, which means then you can think that there is some competitive advantage in your organization. Okay, what are the different primary activities of organization are grouped into 5 main areas. First one is inbound logistics, that is getting a material to the production. Next is operation, transform these inputs into the final product or service. Next one is simple production itself. Outbound logistics, that is taking the prepared product to marketing or warehouse. Next is marketing and sale. Final is service, that is after sale service. These are the primary function. For this you need secondary function support. Those are procurement, that is you have to analyze before start of this inbound logistics. No, procurement must be done. So you have to analyze who is the best seller, which kind of raw material satisfies our needs. All this you have to analyze, and you have to place a better order. Next is technological development. Now every organization require a technological support, and whenever new technology comes, the technology development team should help the whole organization. Human resource management, this is key area of an organization, because without any human resource, organization cannot run. So human resource management will help in all the activities from inbound logistics to service by providing a human resource requirement. Finally is infrastructure. It might be building, or it might be the thing in which organization works, and the technology what organization uses, all this will come under infrastructure. Okay, our next topic is competitive advantage. Competitive advantage. So we learned core competencies will give a competitive advantage. Now comes the question, what exactly competitive advantage is? Competitive advantage is nothing but the thing which will help an organization to achieve more than its rivals or perform more than its rivals. So competitive advantage allows a firm to gain an edge over rival when competing. So there are some features which will take you to the other level when you compare to rivals. Your whole industry is getting 1 lakh rupees profit, let us assume, per month. There is some feature in yourself, there are some core competencies which turned into competitive advantage, which will help you to earn 1,20,000. In simple, Apple uses iOS, other uses Android. So this gave value to the Apple, which means this is competitive advantage for an Apple, which means it will help an organization to overperform its competitors. It is a set of unique features of a company and its product that are perceived by the target market as significant and superior to the competition. In other words, an organization is said to have competitive advantage if its profitability is higher than the average profitabilities of all companies in its particular industry. Okay. The sustainable competitive advantage in the firm's ability to earn profit from its competitive advantage depends on 4 major characteristics of resources and capabilities. So you can say something as competitive advantage if it satisfies below 4 conditions, below 4 capabilities. One is it should be durable. That is, it should not be easily imitatable by your competitors. Because if iOS is imitatable by the competitors, then obviously now Apple's iOS is not its competitive advantage, because competitive advantage is the thing which company will have to earn more profit. If other firm also comes with the same thing, then both are same, which means it also start earning profit. So competitive, this thing is, first thing it should be durable. Next is the transferability. It should not be that easily transferable from company to company. Next is imitability. It should not be that easy to imitate by your rivals. And appropriability. Appropriability refers to the ability of a firm owners to appropriate returns on its resource base. So appropriability is nothing but it is a ability of a firm owner to invest correctly, to appropriate the returns on its resource base. So to utilize the fund. Next is value creation. What exactly value creation is? The concept of value creation was introduced primarily for providing product and service to the customer with more worth. So if you are providing something which is of more worth than what they are paying, your customer is paying you 100 rupees. Your service is equal to 110 rupees. So if you provide something something with more worth, then it will be called as value creation. Value is measured by product's feature, quality, availability, durability, performance and its service for which customer are willing to pay. So there are many ways to analyze what is the value of that particular product. Based on its quality, it might be based on the quantity, based on the service customer expecting from that. All this will help in understanding what is the value of that particular product. Competitive advantage leads to superior profitability. That is more than average. At the most basic level, how profitable a company becomes depends on the three factors. The value customer places on the company's product. So if customer think that they are giving more worth, then it will be called as core competency. The price that the company charge for its product, it should be reasonable one. The cost of creating those products, if it's less, they will get cost leadership because of it. That itself one of the competitive advantage for an organization. Okay, next comes portfolio analysis, and very important analysis. Portfolio analysis will be used by many multi-business lines, your Reliance, because it has many businesses, or an organization which has many products. See, portfolio analysis is nothing but analyzing how much profitable that particular product or particular business is, and how much you should invest more, and in which business you should invest more. All this analysis, analyzing your different businesses and products, will be known as portfolio analysis. See, it is a tool by which management identify and evaluate the various business that make up the company. In portfolio analysis, top management views its product lines and business units as a series of investment from which it expects return. They might come up with a chart. Here, this much is Reliance Trend, and this much is Reliance Footprint, and this much is Reliance Smart, this much is Reliance Jio. Like this, and based on the investment, they will find out how much is the return. All this analysis will be called as portfolio analysis. It's primarily used for competitive analysis and competitive strategic planning in multi-product and multi-business firms. Because if an organization has a single, then whole circle will be one product, or whole circle will be one market. There is no requirement to analyze its portfolio. That is, there is no requirement for portfolio analysis in single line of business, but in multi-line of business and product, they should analyze, because one might be profitable, one might be doing loss, etc. They may also be used in a less diversified firm if this consists of main business and other minor complementary interest. Okay, there are three important concepts, the knowledge of which is prerequisite to understand the different models of portfolio analysis. First one is strategic business unit. Strategic business unit is nothing but a unit of a business or a group of a business which uses similar kind of vision and all, but it is operated separately. It will be having its own vision. It will be having its own objective. It will be having its own CEO. It is something separate from organization. It will be like different organization itself. SBU is a unit of the company that has a separate mission and objectives, and which can be run independently from other company business. Next one is experience curve. That is, how much you go on getting experience, that much you will be productive. That much you can save your cost. The concept is akin to learning curve, which explains the efficiency increase gained by workers through repetitive productive work. Next one is product life cycle. Product life cycle is an S-shaped curve, like this. Curve which exhibits the relationship of sale with represent of time for product that passes through the 4 successive stages. So whenever a particular product or particular business is introduced, this will be introductory stage. See, slow sale rate, because no one knows about your product. Next is growth phase. Here rapid market acceptance, because people came to know about your product and they accepted your product. Later it is maturity. And this is nothing but slow down growth rate, but you have more market share. Finally it is decline. Here new product might enter into market, or something else is expected by customers. All these things will lead to decline, and later if they bring some changes, they again rise. Okay, what are the different methods of portfolio analysis? First one is BCG, that is Boston Consulting Group matrix, growth share matrix. It is also called as growth share matrix because it considers market growth rate as well as relative market share. See, growth share, that is market share and market growth rate. First thing, your market growth rate is high as well as your market share is also high. We call that situation as stars. Market growth rate is low and but market share is high. We call it as cash cow. Market growth rate is high, but your market share is low. We call it as question mark, because you can convert it to star or you can convert into cash cows. Your market growth rate is low and as well as your market share is also low. You do not have much significance in the market. Those are called as dogs. Okay, let's see. Stars are a product or SKU that are growing rapidly. They are growing rapidly. Market growth is also high as well as market share you are acquiring is also high. Because of this, you go on expanding your business. You go for diversification, because of which you need more and more investment. They also need heavy investment to maintain their position and finance their rapid growth potential. They represent best opportunity for expansion. Next comes cash cow. This one, low market growth and high relative market share. Cash cows are low growth, high market share business of product. They generate cash and have low cost. They will generate a cash and will have low cost because market share is there and growth rate is low. Because of market growth rate is low, you are not required to invest more in technology of a particular company organization. So here cost will be low but return is high because you have more market share. They are established, successful and need less investment to maintain their market share. Next comes the question mark. Question mark, sometimes called problem children or wildcats, are low market share business in high growth market. So if you utilize your strengths properly with a growth rate of particular market, you can increase your market share and you will become a stars. They require a lot of cash to hold their share. They need heavy investment with low potential to generate cash because growth share is low but the rate is high, because of which you have to invest more and more but you are not getting in return. So if you want to become a star, you have to invest more on those. Dogs are low growth, low share business product. They may generate enough cash to maintain themselves but do not have much future. You have to disinvest those because they do not have much future, because those are the loss making sector or break-even sectors of your organization. Next is ANSOF's product market growth matrix. Here what it says, existing market, if you enter with the existing product, no changes, that will be called as market penetration. That is, you will maintain your market and you try to extend your market share in that particular market itself. You do not go for new market to increase your share. In the particular market, you strive hard to increase your share. You enter a new market with the existing product, which means it will be called as market development. That is, you go on developing your market with the same product. You entered to a new product line as well as in the same existing market. We call it as product development. They might bring some changes in the product or they might bring a new product itself. If it is new market as well as new product, we call it as diversification. Okay, next one is ADL matrix. Arthur D. Little. See, he considers competitive position of an organization as well as industry's life cycle. If an organization is dominant and if the industry is in the initial stage, that is introductory stage, all cut push for sharehold position. That is, you have to keep your market share in the same manner. Here also, if it's growing also, keep your market share because you are in a dominant position. All these things you have to maintain your shares, maintain your same position. You are not dominant but you are strong. Then in a beginning itself, in the introductory stage itself, you have to strive hard to increase your market share. There is a possibility that you can become a dominant. Attempt to improve position, hold position, hold position. So, and in the growth stage as well as introduction stage, you will attempt to increase your shares. But mature stage and aging stage, you have to maintain your strong position, because that is growth rate is less in that position. You are in favorable position. Next, in this, you have to select a particular attempt to increase your share. And finally, if it is at a end stage, that is aging stage, then better you harvest. That is better you take out your investment. Your position is tenable. Then in the beginning as well as in the growth phase, try to increase your share and protect your share. If it's that not possible, in the maturity stage or aging stage, get out from that, withdraw your capital. If your organization weak, first try in introduction step itself, try to become a tenable, favorable, like that. If it's not possible, don't compete. And in growth, if you pass that and in growth stage also you are weak, then turn around. You have to change some decisions to become tenable. And if not, then go for withdrawal. Next comes General Electric matrix, stop light strategy. Here he says, it is based on the traffic light. Green, go; yellow, hold; red, divest. See, if you are here, he considered industry attractiveness as well as business unit strength. That is your strength of a particular business as well as industry attractiveness. Industry attractiveness depends on many things we learnt in first industry analysis itself. There are based on the competitor, based on the profitability in that particular industry, based on technological changes, based on a growth rate. All these form part of industry attractiveness. Business unit strength based on a internal capabilities, based on a strength, based on a opportunities it uses. All this will form part of business unit strength. See, if your market attractiveness is high and your business unit strength is also high, go for investment, go for diversification. If market attractiveness is high but your strength is medium, then there is a possibility that by going to diversification you can increase your share in the share in the market. So go for expansion. Attractiveness is medium but the strength in you is high, which means you can compete very easily with your competitor. Then go for investment. If your business unit strength is high but the industry attractiveness itself low, if you do not get something in return, then what is the point of investing more and more in that particular industry? So hold that. Your industry attractiveness as well as strength is medium, so you are not in a dominant position as well as weaker position. Just hold and wait for a result. And if you become a dominant position, go for expansion. If you become a weaker section, go for divestment. So attractiveness is high, so industry is doing so great, but your firm business itself have some problem. That time also you should try to hold the shares to bring some turnaround strategies in your organization. Okay, your strength is medium but industry attractiveness is slow, then there is no point of investing over there, and better take out that money from there and invest in somewhere else. So divest. Industry attractiveness is low as well as your strength is also low. You do not have much life in that particular industry. Get out from there. Because death business, if death business worth more than alive, then better to sell that death business. Attractiveness is medium but the strength is low, go for divestment. Next comes very important one, SWOT analysis. This is analyzing what are your strength, what are your weakness, what are your opportunities and what are your threats, and bringing all them together to analyze the capability of your organization. See, strength and weakness is your internal environment, whereas opportunities and threats are thrown in external environment. The identification of analysis of strength, weakness, opportunity and threat is normally referred to as a SWOT analysis. Okay, what exactly strength? Strength is a capability of an organization which can use to gain a strategic advantage over its competitors. What are the weakness? Weakness is the limitation. It is a constraint which is pulling you back, which is giving you a competitive disadvantage. What are the opportunities? The favorable condition thrown by a particular environment. What are the threats? Those are unfavorable condition what are thrown by the environment, external environment. The major purpose of SWOT analysis is to enable the management to create a firm specific business model that will best align, fit or match the organization resources and capabilities to demand the environment. So the main thing is to match between all these and to come up with a better strategy. That is by by considering strength and opportunities and weakness and threats, all these things. The organization performance in a marketplace is significantly influenced by all these three factors. What are they? The organization's current market position. If the position is great, then we can say it as strength. If not, that is weakness. The nature of environment, opportunities and threat. If the particular industry is throwing more and more opportunities, then it is better. If not, it is not that great. The organization resource capabilities to capitalize the opportunities to protect against the threats. All these are significantly influenced to a particular organization. The significance of SWOT analysis lies in the following points. To provide a logical framework of analysis. So you can't come up with some analyzing your strategy. You should analyze what are your strengths, what are your weakness. Later only you can come up with certain ideas. Otherwise you are just a blindfolded and entered into a war. That is blindfolded and entered into a competition. You don't know how exactly industry is doing. You don't know your strengths, you don't know your weakness, like that. It presents a comparative account. It helps in comparing strengths, weakness, opportunities, threat. It guides the strategies in strategy identification. Next comes TOS matrix. See, in SWOT analysis, we just classify strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. But in TOS analysis, what we do is we analyze to overcome this weakness, whether we have strength. To overcome this or to get these opportunities, whether we have strength, whether this weakness will take us to loss. All these will be done in TOS matrix and we will come up with a particular strategy. See, organization strength and opportunity is great. Then we call it as SO, maxi. Weakness is there, but opportunity is there in the environment. We call it as mini-maxi. Strength is low. Strength is there, but threat is also there in an organization. We call it as maxi-mini. And weakness is also there, threat is also there. We call it as mini-mini. Okay. SO, maxi. Here, aggressive strategy. You have strength and you also have opportunity to grow, then go for expansion. Next is maxi-mini. That is, you have strength and also you have threats in an environment. So better try to overcome those threats using your available strengths. Next is a mini-maxi, competitive strategy. You have weakness, but you have opportunity. Try to convert those weakness into strengths and try to acquire the opportunities. Make a maximum attempt. Next one is weakness and threat, mini. Here go for defensive, that is do not invest much, and better go for divestment if particular organization asks. Our last topic, that is globalization. See, globalization in the point of view of a nation, one thing; in the point of view of a company, one thing. First, for developing countries, it means integration with the world economy. So globalization is nothing but integration with the world economy for our countries. In simple economic terms, globalization refers to the process of integration of a world into one huge market. Here, barriers were taken from country to country. Borders barriers were taken. Any country can sell anything in the other, countries. WTO, World Trade Organization, looks after all these activities. At a company level, globalization means two things. Company level, globalization, two things. One, company is going to other country and competing. That will be called as globalization. Or company in its own country itself competing with the foreign companies. That will be also known as globalization. See, first, the company commits itself heavily with the several manufacturing locations around the world and offers product and service products in several diversified industries. Next is the company's ability to compete in a domestic market with a foreign competitors. What are the characteristics of a global company? First one is, it is conglomerate of multiple units but all linked by common ownership. So there will be one head office in particular country and that will be controlling all the different companies which are there in different countries. Multiple units draw on a common pool of resource such as money, credit, information, penetrate, trade names and control system. So there will be common pool, center for all these activities, financing activities, strategic activities, etc. The units responds to the common strategy. That is, there will be some common strategy for the whole organization throughout the world, and usually units follow the same. That is head office's strategy. The first and foremost, why do companies go global? Why companies are going global? First one is need to grow. Now, to grow, the market is very small. The domestic market is very small. If they want to grow more, they will go for, huge market. That is external market outside the particular home country. There is a rapid shrinking of time and distance across the globe. So now due to technology, distance and time were reduced. Now anybody can communicate with any other person who is there in other country. It is being realized that domestic market are no longer adequate and rich. So you are doing well in domestic market, but you are limited to that. Now if you want to grow, you should go for other countries. There can be varied other reasons such as need for reliable or cheaper source of raw material, cheap labor, etc. So obviously China is a manufacturing hub because their human resource cost is very less, because of which all the companies will go and manufacture over there. So that is also one of the possible reasons why companies go global. Companies often set up overseas plant to reduce high transportation cost. For example, automobile Hyundai. It is a South Korean based company. Now, if it want to operate in India, it has to export from South Korea. But it will incur certain cost, some huge cost itself. But people are not ready to pay because it is not that special, So what these people, Hyundai people did, they set a plant in India itself so that they can save this, cost of transportation and give a vehicles at a reasonable price in India. So they become successful. So this is one of the reasons, that is to reduce the transportation cost. So here ends up our second chapter. So please don't forget to like and share the video with your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe to CA Dreams channel as well as Accounting Secrets channel. Notes is available in the description box, so you can download it over there. Thank you.